Ready to launch a career and future you can be proud of? Welcome to Merrill, where an industry-leading advisor training program will help you get licensed. And with lead gen support from Bank of America's vast customer base, you'll get the referrals you need to establish your own practice. It's time to see your career charge forward with Merrill. Apply now at careers.bankofamerica.com. Copyright 2024 Bank of America Corporation.
When is the last time you made s'mores? Crunchy, gooey, and with everyone's favorite, Hershey's milk chocolate. Whether you're making new memories with your friends beside a campfire, inviting neighbors over for a casual cookout, or cooking s'mores in the oven with your family on a rainy day, enjoy some more of each other with Hershey's S'mores. Find Hershey's milk chocolate bars at your favorite retailer. Time to s'more some more.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. I'm really delighted for our next set of guests for the audience, April and Jay Matta. They are the founder and CEO of 5D Mystics, as well as the show, the Gnostic TV Network and 5D Economy Academy, Spirituality Raw. They are entrepreneurs, and I love bringing entrepreneurs that bring a spiritual, energetic dimension for the audience and listeners, how energy and intentions can be used to manifest your goals and your dreams and your business and your relationships. And I'm happy to have their thoughts and ideas on the show. So April and Jay, welcome.
Thanks, Dr. Chris. How are you?
Nice to see you. To be in your house.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What's interesting is I love keeping it very informal. All my friends call me Chris. And so talk about your stories and how you came to be what you do currently.
Start.
So yeah, we are, our background, just as a quick backstory, is we've been together as a married couple for over 20 years now. And our background, we started together in owning insurance agencies and money lending, and realized probably I'd say about 2010 is that, you know what, there's some cool mysteries. Let's go on the exploration. Let's go on the journey. So we sold the business and got into this thing called the internet at that time and said, we should figure that thing out. And so we went in there and we figured the best way for us to do that was to say, because our business was always asking questions, what we did in financial services. So we said, you know what, let's use the same method. Let's ask the greatest minds, the greatest mystics out there, find out what they do to live. How are they getting through life, and how they experience life? So we did that. And by doing that, it turned into 3,000 interviews later, which turned into a show called Spiritually Raw. So it's been a real amazing experience for us to be able to
journey.
Yeah, to be able to bridge that. We call it the third dimensional world of, if you would, of running a financial services agency to having very eclectic, if you would, or abstract conversations in life. Esoteric, yeah, better word. But really bridging that gap, because for us, it's really about, we have come to terms based on the people that we spoke with, that we're here for a reason, but we didn't always get the greatest playbook to live by. So we got to figure it out. And that's what we continually be on the search for. So this is why we do what we do, is to continually figure out, look, we're here. Let's find out why.
And
let's
make
have
the
a blast.
absolute best of it.
Yeah, it's quite a fascinating story and a journey. And I love people I love this spirituality. I'm a empath, and I have a slightly intuitive. So I love just getting insights. And so what is this? I love breaking it down into different themes. And you have this myths of manifesting and the fear of success. Most of us don't even think we fear success, but you talk about this fear of success, and subconsciously we not even realize it.
That's absolutely true. I think there's been, I don't want to use the word, let's say misguided information about manifesting. And I think we've probably all been there for such a long time. And you hear you're doing all the right things, you're eating all the right food, you're saying what you think are all the right mantras, but your manifestations aren't really happening the way that you really at the speed or that you want them to happen. Or maybe they're not even happening at all. And I think where a lot has been misguided is it's all been really taught really on a surface level, but there's actual mechanics behind manifestation. And when you start to really understand and peel apart that orange and understand the mechanics behind it, your manifestations, what we have found, just significantly and rapidly come into reality.
Some of the myths is that people are, and this is what we're here to help with, is because we have taken a deep dive into this every day. This is our life, is to deep dive into the principles and concepts of manifestation. So to hopefully shed some light on others so they can have a better existence. But we found out things like, let me just stick a portrait on my wall and stare at it. Doesn't always end well. And there's these things, there has to be action behind this. There has to be a belief system. There has to be energy. And the other thing too is, this is something to wrap your head around. The fact is that the universe doesn't ever really give you what you want. It gives you who you are. So you have to become that to be, and you have to believe it. So, instead of saying, let me read a book, because the book says, well, if I chant, I'm abundant 100 times, 3 times a day, and the moon's in this waxing or whatever like that, then I'll get what I want. And again, it's not to diminish one's faith, but if you do it, if you're going to go through the efforts, understand that working with the subconscious aspect of it and getting your subconscious to actually believe what you're saying, that is how you manifest.
And another thing about being misguided, and I know because we've all stepped in it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We've all been there. That's how you learn. But your manifesting don't come into reality until you truly believe you're worthy of receiving the manifestation. You can wish it to death. You can wish it till the cows come home, but that's not going to always make it come into reality. You have to believe you're worthy of receiving it. So much of it, yes, is mindset. And so much of it is also truly believing you're worthy.
And just tagging onto your point, you asked about the fear of success, to cover that point or speak to that point, if you would. So the fear of failure is pretty obvious for people. They see something and they say, I'm not going to do that. So they tag out and they're done. That's over. Fear of success, they've actually taken somewhat of a step and they see some light there. So they open it and then they say, okay, maybe this is going to require them to take another step. And then all of a sudden the steps get a little bit bigger to get to. And then they say, you know what? I don't know if I'm ready to take that step. So they run back out and they run back out. So there's the aspect of going through the journey of going to the depth, because our experience over this time has shown us that success can be as easy and as difficult as you truly make it. And that's not a woo statement, that's real. So if we want something to say,
and we usually make it harder than it needs to be.
Always we do. And that's just our
own way.
Yeah, that's our natural instinct, is to make it harder. But then if you can actually tap into that consciousness and realize that you're part of co-creation, you're part of this infinite design, if you would, then if everything you've read, everything you've heard, everything that's been taught to you, try applying it and realize that, what do you have to lose by applying it and saying, you know what, I am going to create this right now. I am deserving it. And by the way, thank you for making me the wealthiest and healthiest person in the world. And you really start to embody that kind of principle, the physiology will change to such a degree there.
I think too, just tagging on what Jay said, let's reverse this that we've all heard. The universe has something in store for me. We've all heard that. The universe has something in store for me. Well, let's reverse that thinking for a second. What do you have in store for the universe?
Yeah, I love this. And what I love is these different concepts, basically manifesting. And you said that there is the mechanics. And so it's not like this woo-woo, just sit, do nothing, and it actually takes work. So what are the nuts and bolts in terms of the mechanics? You don't have to, of course, your program and you help clients do that, but give a general overview of the nuts and bolts. Is it gratitude? Is it affirmation? Is it just healing? Talk more about that.
It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. That's how you make the pie, right? You put a little this and a little that. It's just tweaking it. So affirmations absolutely are important. All pretty much been taught and all have heard about the I am happy, I am wealthy, I am this, I am that. I've said it a gazillion times over and over again, but that didn't necessarily make me believe or see any dramatic results that I was really expecting. And I started thinking, I started looking at other people who had everything. They had the happiness, they had the wealth, and they had this and they had that. And you think to yourself, there's got to be a way to do it because people are doing it. So what are they doing differently? What are they tapping into? There has to be some type of higher frequency, higher vibration. And when we really started dissecting it, we realized there's a correlation between your chakra system and affirmations. So ironically, the I am is associated and vibrates at the frequency of the sacral chakra, which is the lowest, the root chakra, which is the lowest frequency. So when you think about if you constantly saying, I am happy, I am wealthy, I am happy, I'm wealthy, you're affirming it from a lower vibration. So yes, that is going to slow your manifestations down. But as you raise and you go up in your chakra system, let's say, for example, the sacral chakra is associated with feeling. So instead of I am successful, I feel successful. The heart chakra is associated, just to give you an example of a couple of them, love, right? Everything is associated with love. So imagine now taking the I am feeling, or I am wealthy, to I love prosperity and abundance. See, there's a different frequency and a different vibration. And going to your crown chakra, that's associated with understanding. So instead of it's I understand, I'm worthy of.
And when you get to that point of that you're understanding, you're coming at it from a very unemotional attachment, if you would. You just say, you literally at that place where you say, I understand I'm wealthy. And you just accept it as it's part of your existence. And there's not an emotion of, am I going to get it? Am I not going to get it? Am I going to get it? Am I not going to get it? It's just, I understand it. I get it.
It puts you into the present. It puts you into the now. And that is a integral part of manifesting.
The other question I get frequently is because this business podcast is for entrepreneurs and it's highly successful executives, doctors, lawyers. So one thing is their quality. They're always looking for the next thing, the more. And one common theme is never being satisfied. Like they have a very nice house, spouse, family, income. And then they look to their neighbor like, oh man, he or she's doing this and that. And then this feeling of fear of missing out, like they have enough, but then they feel like it's never enough. And then they feel like, oh, they're missing out, or this feeling of greed. They want more. How do you reconcile that? Because you have enough, but you're chasing all these things. What is that?
I'm just and then Jay, this is really up his alley, but the first thing that came to me when you said it, they are missing out on something, Chris, and it's something very important. And that is the connection to source energy. And when you don't have that connection, yes, you feel lack, you feel guilt, you feel unworthy. So that hole that they're missing is truly the connection to their source.
Yeah, it really is. And, with a lot of wealthy people that own businesses and they go on the journey, because you're right, they hit something and they're like, I'm accomplishing this. So then it gets to a point of, well, was that really what it is? And what do I do with this now? And then it's, what do I do? As you gain your wisdom, age, if you would, then you take a look at, well, now how do I live my life? And then you realize the things that are important to you, they don't seem as important to you. But like what you were saying, to speak to your point, it is really, this is why we sold our business, honestly, because we realized for us, like, we're making a lot of money in our business. We're doing financially fantastic. It's just that we knew that as we grow, we saw the writing somewhere. I don't want to call it on a wall in the clouds, wherever you want to call it, but we saw it somewhere that said, got to find the connection to the source. Or it's all for nothing now. And when you think about it from that standpoint, you realize
you feel
that,
empty.
Yeah, you really do, I think. And then I think a lot of people do when we talk to people that come from wealth or they have it and they're looking for something. And that's what we always try to tell people is, look, when you are talking to people, if you're in business, it's not always about the proverbial money for them. Some people have already got their wealth. They're good, but there's some other form of richness that they need. There's some other form of richness that they have to have. And that is that feeling of connection, that feeling of being able to, hey, you know what? I really am anti-aging. Wow, this is really how it works. Wow, I did manifest this. Wow, I did do this. Wow, I am telepathically communicating, which is one of our favorite things to really work with people on, is the art of that. It becomes, every day then becomes a journey. It no longer becomes linear, because it doesn't matter what you're doing and how much you're making. At some point in time, if you're repeating the same thing over and over again, it just is going to get boring.
It's like living the quintessential 3D reality. It can get a little boring after a while, right? The money just doesn't, it's not like it doesn't thrill you like it used to, right? it's really about being able to raise your vibration and raise your frequency. And as you do that, you're raising your levels of consciousness. And as you're raising your levels of consciousness, that's really where the true riches lie.
Yeah, if you think of life like how we've been able to process life, if you would, just an analogy is as a video game. You get to another level, there's things get a little harder. You get that, you feel rewarded, you get to another level, things get a little harder, you go up, you get rewarded, but things just, they come at you. But if you look at life like, I don't know if anybody else has proven any type of concept so much different, if you would, but if you do take a look at a life as a video game, you'll start to look at life differently. And then you'll start to take a look at not taking things so seriously, not being so attached to the outcome. Because when you do lose attachment, therein lies where your abundance, and that's where your prosperity, that's where what you're looking for, your spiritual richness, if you would, that's where that starts to come in, because you're not just, you've let your quote unquote ego out of the way and let your spirit really go out on the search to find what it needs to do.
It's very counterintuitive because I did this experiment where I did this experiment. 1 week I was just 24 nonstop, just burnt. And then I saw very minimal. And then I did another experiment 1 week where I just said, okay, do 1 hour of this. And that 1 week where I did nothing, there was more progress than where I was just.
Absolutely. It does feel, and it sounds counterintuitive. You're like, how could that possibly be? But it is, because you're allowing your mind the time to rest and retrieve the information from a higher dimension. And then when you're able to do that, you're able to, it's like you're cutting the fat out very quick. You're getting the information. Okay, I got it. And they're giving you the answer in the direction that you are working 24/7 trying to figure out, when the universe is saying, hey, slow down for a second so you can catch the information that we're trying to send you. And once you do that and you allow yourself, and you're in a place of like balance, because at 24/7 you're off balance, right? So everything's chaotic, nothing can get in. When you're at that level and space of that, you feel balanced, all of a sudden you're like, is that what you've been trying to tell me?
You know what, Chris? It's like successful academics, they tend to get into the books, right? And let me read the books, let me read the theory. And we've interviewed thousands of authors, and we really don't read anything that much at all, because the reason for us, what we found out is, for reading, it took us out of what we were possibly missing. So just try on the exercise, if you would, of people that are watching, is that try even for 30 days, like not a long time, but try. There's even biblical, and I'm not by any means any biblical scholar. I don't think I've ever read a holy book, but I know versions of things like they'll say, be still and know that I'm God, or God, or something along those lines, right? And there's versions of just take it in. Because if you're trying to, like, I see this a lot when people are at spiritual seminars or religious, they're feverishly taking notes, right? I'm like, I'm missing the point. If you're supposed to feel something, you might miss something if you're just there. So just take a minute from the notes and just feel and connect with that energy. And then you'll start to see, and then when you start to feel and connect with that energy, you start to validate, hey, something's going on here. Then you do it more. But you want to do it more is what I'm saying, because you start to feel that feeling of it. You start to feel alive, like a feeling you've never felt before. And you start to
relax.
Feel relax, yeah.
And you don't feel stressed, and you feel, oh, I can breathe now. And the sun is shining, and I can smell the roses. And all your senses are starting to really work now. And you're literally giving your body a reset.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I was talking to a lot of individuals is, for example, when they're first starting their business, like they're struggling to, like they got clients and then they have the money coming in, but they're always focused on every penny, every dime, every dollar. And it's like detracting from their focus of their clients. But then they reach a certain point where it's like they have to, the money is flowing in and they can focus on the clients. And then a lot of them struggle with just letting the money take care of itself and focusing on the client. So
Right.
what is that energy there?
That's energy. It's a third dimensional attachment. So we live in this world, let's call it 3D for the sake of conversation, third dimensional world. And it's part of the rules of engagement. We need money. And that this third dimensional world says you have to have money to get what you want. So we get it very attached to that. And the natural instinct is, let me try to figure this out so I can save the money. I can accumulate the money. Where, again, we counterintuitively realize that, look, if we're going on the journey, if we're going to attempt something new in our life, guess what we're going to do? Our favorite word is outsource. So meaning in this is that
Right.
we were not interested in learning how to build our own websites. We were not interested in how to edit our own videos. We had
Still
both
today.
today or not.
We've never edited one video.
And we tell people, look, if you've made a conscious choice to say, okay, I'm going on my purpose journey now. I'm going to find out who I am, but let me figure out how to edit this video. You know what I mean?
Or let me figure out how to build a website at the same time.
That's not you. Figure out your voice. And if you allow that space to happen, your universe, because you control it, will give you then what you need, pull the right people in place for you, give you the resources you need, and you simply just pay them. And you pay because you'll have it. And it won't even be about money. Money will come, but it won't be about the money. And next thing, there's another sense of gratification that comes along with it when you realize that because of your thought process, you're actually helping others have an existence where they can live and have a dignified life because of your decisions too. So you start to think about, there's so much that goes along with releasing, so many benefits what goes along with, if it's about you, then make it about you. And then you'll evolve with that theory.
And also what you're doing is you're creating more of what you don't want, right? So they're focusing so much on the things that they don't want that it's causing and creating more of that in their reality.
Right.
So it's like a vicious loop. And until you get out of that and step out of it and realize, I want to focus on the things that I do best, the things that make me happy. And then you let go and release of the things that are weighing you down and not fulfilling you. That's, I think, one of the biggest trips that entrepreneurs get stuck in. They feel like they have to wear 10 different hats.
Yeah.
And it's actually the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't ever really find your purpose. So what was it for?
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of release and let it go and control. And there's so many instances where it's like you release this one income stream and then another income stream comes in that's 10 times more than the one you let go. But you have so much struggle just letting go of that just because it's like you mentioned you're so attached to it. We have a couple more minutes. Like I said, I'm always been fascinated with the spiritual realm and talk about the work with healing trauma and how it manifests, because trauma is, we all get triggered. We've all got baggage and it's really hard to revisit that and heal it and address it. So how does that help? And how do you know you're healed, or how do you start the process?
This is a topic that could be a whole other show, but you cannot go back and change the past. You cannot go into the future and predict what is or what is not going to happen. All you can really do is control the absolute now and focus on the now. So I think a lot of the time, so many people get tremendously stressed out focusing on what they did in the past or what may or may not happen in the future, and they forget about living in the present. And as simplistic as that sounds, that's really what it is. If you focus on the now and be grateful for what is coming and be grateful for whatever has happened in the past and focus on the now. This other really quick, I want to share this with people. This is the quickest, easiest way to raise your vibration and to start creating a real life that is going to make you happy. Start doing the things in life every single solitary day. Do the tiny little things that make you feel good.
Sergeant and Mr. Smith, you're gonna love this house.
Bunk beds in a closet?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
Ready to launch a career and future you can be proud of? Welcome to Merrill, where an industry-leading advisor training program will help you get licensed. And with lead gen support from Bank of America's vast customer base, you'll get the referrals you need to establish your own practice. It's time to see your career charge forward with Merrill. Apply now at careers.bankofamerica.com. Copyright 2024 Bank of America Corporation.
Yeah.
And similarly, start releasing the things out of your life that are not bringing you happiness.
Quickly, to release trauma, just the way we use it is, think of your life as that you really don't ever release it. You're an open wound. What you do is you get better at healing it fast and faster and faster. When it cuts it so close, it's healed. And that's what you do. So that's what you strive for. Don't, and let go of the guilt. Whatever you did in your past, my gosh, it is done now. It is done. Forgive yourself and just know that it was done. Whatever you did,
Or
you
someone
feel like,
did to
or
you.
someone, you just it's done now. It's done. It's part of your spirit journey, and you'll hopefully have learned from it, because if you didn't, it'll come back in a bigger way. But just understand that's all it really is. There's nothing other than the fact of, if you can learn to forgive yourself and realize that, whatever you did, you've already done it, and you're learning to get better, or if you would, or start to progress from that, then you're already on the journey to healing, and good for you, because everybody that's breathing has some sort of regret in their life. I am sure of that. So just don't worry about it.
And
Just-
and
It happens to all of us.
right. There is no judgment. There is no judgment. There's no higher energy that it will ever judge you. You are the only one that is judging yourself.
What a fantastic conversation. And we could, like you said, this conversation could go on for hours. How can people contact you, check out your work, reach out to you, work with you, and so on?
Thank you.
Thank
The best way to find out more about our vibe and check it out is go to Instagram 5D_mystic. So don't forget to put the underscore in there. And then just messages manifest, and we'll actually send them a guide, which will show how the chakra guides, which show the correlation between your chakras and what to say for the ultimate impact on manifestation. So that's 5D_mystics, and everything else will be in there so they can check us out. And look, we're looking for our soul tribe, and we suggest everybody else does the same thing, and have a great time in this, wherever we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I love the vibration and the intensity and just the positivity of the discussion. And so for all the listeners out there, be sure to check out April and Jay's resources, all the energy, the chakras, and give them a follow on socials, reach out to them to work with them, healing, manifestation. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank
you
you
very
so
much for
much.
having us. Much love to you.